بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. So inshallah we've completed the first qism, so we'll now be moving on to the second qism, which is regarding the fa'il. Now again he has 11 fasl, but before he starts the first fasl he hasn't labeled it, but he should have labeled it muqaddimah, I think, just to give us, because there's no heading usually. He normally has a heading. So he introduces fa'il, fa'il madhi, fa'il mudari, fa'il amr, etc. So he's not labeled it in the book as muqaddimah, but you could have labeled it as a muqaddimah of the fasluth thani. So he has 11 fasl, 11 different things he discusses. So before we move into any of those, he has a few preliminary things he mentions. He says, al-qism thani fil fa'il. The second qism is regarding fa'il, and we've already discussed its definition before, when we were at the beginning of the book. Okay. وأقسامه ثلاثة, and it is of three types: ماض ومضارع وأمر. There's no need to discuss this. الفعل الماضي الأول الفعل الماضي. The first is فعل ماضي وهو فعل دل على زمان قبل زمانك. It shows an action, it denotes or it shows a action which took place before your time, before you're speaking. It shows the past tense, we all know that. وهو مبني. Now if you look at it, the fa'il madhi, it has three different forms. You can either, remember, after the lam, these are the, so this is zamir mustatir, you can't see it, there's huwa inside. Here the alif is a fa'il, the zamir mustatir here in here, huwa is in here, ta is alamatu ta'neeth, and the ta is alamatu ta'neeth, and the alif is a fa'il. So in all of these, if you look at the lam, what does the lam have on it? A fatha. A fatha. So you say mabni ala al-fath. So in these sigha, fa'ala, fa'ala, fa'alat, and fa'alata, the madhi is mabni ala al-fath. It has a fatha on it. In fa'alu, what does the lam have? A dhamma. So it is now mabni ala dham. And fa'alna until fa'alna. Fa'alna, fa'alta, fa'altuma, fa'altum, fa'alti, fa'altuma, fa'altunna, fa'altu, fa'alna. Right until the end, these are all mabni ala sukoon. The lam has a sukoon. So before the pronoun, there is a sukoon. Understood? Yes? That's what he's explaining here. There are three types of fa'il madhi according to his bina. Some are mabni ala al-fath, some are mabni ala sukoon, and some are mabni ala dham. So huwa mabniyun ala al-fath. It will be mabni ala al-fath إن لم يكن معه ضمير مرفوع متحرك ولا واو. If it has no zamir marfu, which is mutaharrik. If it has no zamir marfu mutaharrik. So these have, look at it here, these have a zamir, but the zamir is sakin. The zamir is an alif. So there's no zamir mutaharrik, like ta, tuma, tum, ti. Those zamir are mutaharrik. So the fa'il madhi will be mabni ala al-fath in those sighas, because they have no zamir marfu, which is mutaharrik, nor a waw. If it doesn't have those, it will be mabni ala al-fath. So daraba, it ends with a fatha. Daraba, it has a dhamir at the end, dhamir marfu, but the dhamir marfu is sakin, not mutaharrik. So therefore it's still mabni ala al-fath. Darabu ends in a waw, that's going to be mabni ala al-dham. Then darabat, at times alamatu ta'neeth. So it's mabni ala al-fath, there's no dhamir marfu mutaharrik. Darabata, after the daraba, it has a, because what? The ta is alam ta'neeth, and the sukoon, the alif is zamir marfu by sakin. So therefore it is mabni ala al-fath. Wa ma'a dhamir al-marfu' al-mutaharrik. So basically mabni ala al-fath, mabni ala al-sukoon. And the fi'l madhi is mabni ala al-sukoon when ma'a dhamir al-marfu' al-mutaharrik. Like darabta tuwati, whichever one you want to read. So whenever you have, basically from darabna until the end, darabna, because what? It has a zamir marfu mutaharrik, ta tumatum. So therefore the ba, the lamul kalima, is mabni ala sukoon. Okay, we've done all this in Birkwi and our Tarakim and Arab course already. Wa ala dhamma al wawi ka darabu. If you have a waw fa'il, jama', then the lam al-kalima has a dham. So it's mabni ala dham. Any questions regarding this?
You know how you did the fa'ala?
Okay. Now الفعل المضارع الثاني المضارع وهو فعل يشبه الاسم. The second type of فعل is فعل مضارع, and it is a فعل which resembles أشبه يشبه, which resembles an ism. Now this ba, this is again تعقيد لفظي. This ba, this is a bit of a question mark on the eloquence of this text, because this ba, it gives the impression that it is متعلق, and it is the مفعول لأجله of غيسري of يشبه. So this is not linked to the يشبه. It does not resemble the ism because this is هو فعل, and this is the حال. This is حال. A فعل. So basically, it would have been better to have brought this at the end. So he shouldn't. This is ambiguous. So really, what is it? A فعل مضارع is a verb. What kind of verb? A verb with one of the huruf of أتينا. أتينا is basically alif, ta, ya, and nun. The علامات المضارع. يفعل, so ya. تفعل, the ta. أفعل, the hamza, and the nun, نفعل. So أتينا, نأتي, however you want to read it. So if he has alif, hamza, ta, ya, and nun at the beginning of it, so if fail, so al-mudhari, so this is how we're going to translate it first. We're going to leave this middle part out. We're going to say here, هو فعل يشبه الاسم, and then we do فعل مضارع. This one, هو فعل مضارع, like this. You do the green first. So if فعل مضارع is a verb which has one of the letters of hamza, ta, ya, nun, atayna, which has one of the letters of atayna at the beginning, and which resembles an ism. It has resemblances with an ism. You understand the translation? Yes? It's a hal of, it's a sifa of fa'il. Sifa of fa'il. It is not muta'alliq, it is not the maf'ul li ajlihi ghaysari of yushbihu. So don't say it resembles the noun because of these things. It doesn't resemble a noun, it resembles a noun because of the things I'm going to mention later on. It is a fa'il which has these things. A fa'il which has one of atayna at its beginning, and it resembles an ism because of the following points we mentioned later on. So this bi'ihda is not in a, well, he's written it there, but it's not a good, in my opinion, it's not a good sentence. Understood? Yes? Everybody following? Yes? Now how does it resemble the fa'il mudari'? I think we have done this before. So we say here, how does a fa'il mudari' resemble an ism? There's two ways, lafzan or ma'nan. I.e. in the word, the kalimat, the letters, the huruf, it resembles the ism in the huruf, and it also resembles the ism in ma'nan. How is this? Ittifaqul harakati was sakanat. They have the same harakat and sakanat. And this is quite obvious because the ism al-fa'il, ism al-maf'ul, how are they made? If you have yukrimu, let me use it back, it's probably clearer. The ism al-fa'il, ism al-maf'ul are actually made from the mudari'. You have yukrimu, the maf'ul become mukrimun. So look, harakat, sakanat will be the same. If you have yubaddilu, you get mubaddilun. So the harakat and sakanat, yuk, muk. The tanween is at the end. Yubaddilu, yubaddi. So the harakat and the sakanat, they're the same. So in that aspect, the fa'il mudari' resembles the ism. دخول لام التأكيد في أولهما. Both of them can have لام التأكيد or لام الابتداء. And he's giving an example later on. So both can have لام الابتداء. You have, for example, لأكونن, لنكونن, إنني لا يحزنني, لا يحزن. And you also get the لام الابتداء before. So one's called لام الابتداء, one's called لام القسم, مؤتية للقسم, but they both لام توكيد. So you have إنني لا يحزنني, you have a lam before the فعل مضارع. And you also get وَلَعَبْدٌ مُؤْمِنٌ خَيْرٌ مِّن مُشْرِكٍ. So you have the lam before the ism. So in that aspect, they both have a lam ta'kid before them. Similarly, the number of letters, the ism al-fa'il, ism maf'ul, same number of letters. So in these three aspects, the wording is the same. And in terms of the meaning, they also have similar meaning. Why? Because The fi'l mudari has hal and mustaqbil meaning. Ism al-fa'il also have hal and mustaqbil meaning. Inni ja'ilun fil ardi khalifa. Sayaj'alukum sayaj'alu lahum ar-rahmanu wudda. So like ja'ala yaj'alu mustaqbil in both of them. Both can have the hal meaning. Inni huwa qa'imun, he's standing, and yatlu, he's reciting or he recites. So both have the present and the future tense meaning. So in the lafz and the meaning, it has 4 elements of mushabahat. 3 elements in the lafz and 1 element in the ma'na. So because of this, because of the mushabahat in the lafz and the ma'na, it takes the mushabaha in the i'rab. Right? So that's what he's saying here. That the asal of a fa'il is mabni, and the asal of a noun is i'rab. So asal of a fa'il is bina, the asal of an ism is i'rab. But because fa'il mudari has mushabaha with the ism, it will take the mushabaha in the i'rab as well. Okay? Yes, so he says here lafdhan. So it has mushabaha, yushbihul isma. So even this, yeah, so anyways, it resembles the ism lafdhan in wording. How? في اتفاق الحركات والسكنات, in the unanimity or similarity in the harakat and the sakanat. Like yadribu, yastakhriju. So yadribu and yastakhriju are like daribin, mustakhrijin. Yes, even yadribu. Yadribu, daribun. Same harakat and sakanat. وفي دخول لام التأكيد في أولهما إن زيدا لا يقوم. So you can say لا يقوم here. كما تقول إن زيدا لقائم. So the same way the lam comes on the fi'l mudari, the lam can also come on the ism. So in this way, these two are the same. Then وفي تساويهما في عدد الحروف. They also have the same number of huruf. As you can see, if you count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there has 5 as well. If you count them, they're the same. So in these 3 aspects, اتفاق الحركات والسكنات, دخول لام التأكيد, and عدد الحروف. In these 3 lovely aspects, the fi'l mudari resembles the ism. ومعنى, it also resembles the noun in meaning. How? They both have the hal and istiqbal. ومعنى في أنه, and it also resembles the ism in a meaning wise. In this aspect that they both shared between the hal, the present and future tense. كاسم الفاعل. وَلِذَلِكَ سَمَّوْهُ مُضَارِعًا. And this is why they have called it mudari'. And I told you before, mudari' is made from the word dar'un or dir'un, which means the udders of an animal. So because when you have udders, so dara'a, to share udders. So when 2 animals drink from the same mother, they're sharing the dir', they're sharing the udders. So because of that, they're going to be very similar age, probably the same, the children of the same mother. So you call mudari', they're both sharing each other. So they say mudari' means mushabih. Okay, so that's why you call fi'l mudari' is really al-fi'l al-mushabih. Ay al-fi'l al-mushabih bil-ism al-fa'il wal-maf'ul. And we mentioned this before somewhere at the beginning. Okay. Any questions before we move on? Everybody understood? Yes? Okay. السكوت في محل الجواب الجواب. That's usul al-fiqh. When you remain quiet when there's a need for an answer, that's assumed to be the answer. So silence will be understood to be understanding. Okay. والسين وسوف تخصصه بالاستقبال. When you bring sin and you bring sawfa, it specifies the fi'l mudari' to the mustaqbil, because on its own it's mushtarak. It has the meaning of present and future. When you put sin or sawfa, سيقول السفهاء من الناس, they will say سوف تعلمون, you will soon come to know. So these two make the mudari' specific for the mustaqbil. It can't be present tense anymore. On the contrary, according to some scholars, when you have al-lam al-maftuha, ay tukhassisuhu bil-hal. So the lam maftuha tukhassisuhu bil-hal. The lam maftuha specifies the fi'l mudari' to the present tense. La yadribu, he hits. It can't be he will hit anymore. Innani la yahzununi, it grieves me right now. Okay. Then he says, what are the huruf al-mudari'ah, the atayna? Okay, now he's mentioned the huruf al-mudari'ah, the atayna, or nati. But now what he's doing, he's saying the huruf al-mudari'ah, will they be marfu or madhmoom? What will the harakat be? So he's saying here, the huruf al-mudari'ah are madhmoomah. A lot of this came in sarf before tasrif al-izzi. The huruf al-mudari'ah are madhmoom. They have a dhamma in ruba'i. And ruba'i, I told you, remember, ruba'i can be mentioned in 2 ways. Ruba'i is sometimes referred to looking at the huruful asli. Yes? So for example, the word baddala can be classified as thulathi when you're looking and purely looking at the huruful asliya, the huruful asliya. So the huruful asliya are three: ba, dal, and lam. So baddala. So this is called thulathi, baddala. Then you have sometimes people classify it not by the huruf asli, but by the actual letters written there and then, irrespective of whether it's asli or zaid. So in this aspect, it can also be classified as ruba'i. So when you say thulathi ruba'i, you have to see, well, what categorization scheme is the author and the writer using? Is using the based on the huruf asli? If it's based on huruf asli, you only get thulathi and ruba'i. If it is based on what you are seeing, you get thulathi, you get fa'ala, you get ruba'i, like akrama, you get khumasi, like takallama, ta, kaf, lam, mim, that's khumasi. Then you also get sudasi, istakhraja, alif, sin, ta, kha, ra, jim. So then you can get all the way up to 6 letters, istakhraja. So you get thulathi, ruba'i, khumasi, and sudasi. Okay, but if you have based on huruf and asliya only, it's only 2 categorizations, thulathi and ruba'i. 2 different schemes. You have to know what the author is using, if not you'll be in a bit of a twist. Okay, so if it's ruba'i and he's not using here the huruf asliya scheme, he's just using the general scheme, what you can see. So if there's 4 letters, whether the root letters or not, he's not looking at that. So if it's root letters, if there are 4 letters, whether they're root or not, it doesn't matter. There are 4 letters, then the alamatul mudari' will be madhmum. So yudahriju. So yudahriju, this is ruba'i. So yudahriju. Actually, he's using the original scheme. He's using the original scheme. But most people use the other scheme, because if you look at it, what's bab number 2? What's bab number 2? Baddala. Then bab number 3 is baraka. Bab number 4? No. Af'ala, akrama. Right? Then bab number 5? Takallama. Bab number 6? Pardon me? Huh? Pardon me? I never learned it like this. I learned it using our own Urdu system, so it's not clear in my mind. Number 10 is istaf'ala, so istaghfara. Istaghfara is number 10, istaghfara. Then ifta'ala comes in between. Ifta'ala. Then you get infa'ala. I can't remember the numbers of those. Okay? So now, the ones that have 4 are these. Now, these, baddala, what does mudari have? Yubaddilu. Baraka, yubariku. Akrama, yukrimu. Takallama, yatakallamu. Infa'ala, yanfa'ilu. Ifta'ala, yaftailu. Istaghfara, yastaghfiru. So I think he's gone to the, in this text, he's referring to ruba'i according to the root letters. Now, yudahriju is got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he's referring to the root letters, yudahriju. So you got daharaja. And yukhriju, he's saying yukhriju is also a ruba'i, because the asal is yuakhriju. So this text is not clear what he's referring to, because it's not comprehensive. Because if he's saying here, ruba'i according to root letters, then it's yudahriju. And yuakhriju, the root letters are kharaja, not akhraja. So this text is to me, it appears as flawed, because if he's referring to ruba'i according to what you see, then yudahriju is khumasi. Yes? Do you understand? So it's yudahriju. And if he's saying that this is also ruba'i, it can't be ruba'i because the root letters are kharaja, not alif kharajim. Yeah? Even if he is saying that, so is he basing it on the root letters? So yukhriju is got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but then hamza is not a root letter. Akhraja is not akhraja, it's kharaja, and the hamza is there. So even though bab if'al, yukhriju is made from yuakhriju, like akrama, yuakrimu, you do find that in 1 or 2 poems. But even then, the root letters are kharaja. So then, so maftuhatun fima adah. So then he doesn't include these, because by saying yudahriju, because they are stones which do not speak. Maybe he's referring to the Maldi. Yeah, probably. So, sorry, let me see here. What he's saying here, he's not looking at the mudhari, look at the madhi. Sorry, my mistake. Look at the madhi. So what's the madhi of yudahriju? Dahraja. Yes? The madhi of yukhriju is akhraja. Yes? So any word which has a madhi has 4. So he's not looking at the madhi. Don't look at this yudahriju. Look at the madhi, dahra, that has 4. So he's not looking at the huruf asliya. He's looking at what you get actually there. Because that's what applies. So even baddala, that's 4 letters, that's ruba'i. Baraka is ruba'i, akrama is ruba'i. Akhraja, the asal is yu'akhriju. So the madhi is akhraja. So akhraja, yu'akhriju, and the madhi is akhraj. So all these are 4 letters. So he's not looking at the root letters, that's my mistake. He's not looking at the root letters, he's looking at what you get on the paper. So anytime you have 4 letters in the madhi, whether the asli, huruf asli or huruf za'ida, the mudhari will always be what? Alamatul mudhari of that mudhari will be madhmum. So let's start again. So what he's saying here, so the huruful mudhara'a will have a dhamma fi ruba'i in any word whose madhi has 4 letters, whether these 4 letters are the huruf asliya or not. So for example, dahraja has 4 letters, but all 4 are root letters, that's fine. Yukhriju, because originally it was yu'akhriju. So yu'akhriju is 4 letters here. Akhraja. The madhi has 4 root letters. Baddala, the madhi has 4 root letters. The mudhari will yubaddilu. Baraka has 4 letters. Ba, alif, ra, ka. The kaf, the mudhari will also have a dhamma, yubariku. Akrama, alif, hamza, kaf, ra, mim. So the mudhari will be yu'akrimu. Then you do yukrimu, you do hazaf of the hamza. لكثرة الاستعمال. Is that clear now? I think I made a mistake initially. Yes? So any madhi which has 4 letters, whether they're root letters or za'id letters, if the madhi has 4 letters, then the mudhari will have a dhamma on alamatul mudhari. And apart from that, if the madhi does not have 4 letters, then it will be maftuha. Kayadribu has 3 letters, daraba, it's not ruba'i. And yastakhriju, from takallama onwards, they're either khumasi or sudasi, they have 5 or 6 letters. So their mudhari will have a fatha in the alamatul mudhari, not a dhamma. Is that clear? Yes? Now he's going on to saying, he's explaining why do they make it. So in between, he's brought the alamatul mudhari between the i'rab discussion. So he's mentioned about i'rab mushabaha, then he brings the sin sawfa, then he brings the huruf al-mudhara being mabni, then he goes back to the i'rab rule. So it seems a bit weird. You should have brought this straight away. وَإِنَّمَا أَعْرَبُوهُ. They have made the fa'al mudhari mu'rab. I mean, the Arabs have read the fa'al mudhari mu'rab. And then jumla mu'tariza, despite the asal of the fa'al, the asal principle of a verb being mabni, al-bina. The asal of a fa'al is bina, it should be mabni. So despite the asal and the origins of a verb being mabni, the Arabs have made it mu'rab لِمُضَارَعَتِهِ أي لمشابهة أي because of it resembling the ism فيما عرفت, as you have mentioned before, في حركاته وسكناته وفي عدد حروفه وفي تساويهما في عدد الحروف and في المعنى. They have حال المستقبل. Because of those elements, the mushabaha with the ism, they have made it join with the ism in i'rab as well. And the asal of an ism, so it resembles an ism. وأصل الاسم الإعراب. And the asal of an ism is an i'rab, having harakat, having been mu'rab. Therefore, these mudhari will also be mu'rab. إلا وذلك إذا لم يتصل به نون توكيد ولا نون جمع المؤنث. If you have noon جمع المؤنث or if you have noon توكيد, in those 2 cases, then the fa'al mudhari will mabni. So for example, if you have ينجحنا, so here we have a noon niswa. We have noon niswa at the end. Therefore, the alamatul the fa'al mudhari becomes majzoom. So for example, you say lam yanjahna, lan yanjahna, marfu, mansoob or majzoom state. All 3, the ha, the end of the fa'al mudhari will be mabni ala sukoon. Understood? Yes? Similarly, if you have, for example, la yaf'alanna, if you have noon tawkeed, so la yaf'alanna, then this becomes mabni ala al-fath, la yaf'alanna. So the noon tawkeed comes with it, so now it becomes it becomes mabni and fatha. You can't change that. It has to be لَيَفْعَلَنَّ. Yes? So the fi'l mudari is mu'rab except in two conditions. When you have noonul tawkeed with it, or if you have noonul niswa or noonul jam. In those cases mabni. And apart from that, the fi'l mudari is going to be mu'rab. And then based on this, then the next section is going to be asnafu i'rabil fi'l al-mudari. He'll discuss the fi'l mudari's i'rab. Okay? وَإِعْرَابُهُ ثَلَاثَةُ أَنْوَاعٍ. It has three types of i'rab. رَفْءٌ وَنَصْبٌ وَجَزْمٌ. نحو هو يضرب ولن يضرب ولم يضرب. Understood? Yes? Any questions? Okay. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك ونشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت ونستغفرك ونتوب إليك.